what feminism actually does. Like they're all on there like blah blah blah. Read the dictionary. Oh yeah, I have a PhD. I don't know. I don't
All
have
right,
it. So
I'm gonna go ahead and jump in here and let Tori respond to what you said so far.
Um, I don't know. I thought it was interesting that you thought that the Hobby Lobby case was trivial.
it's very trivial. It's extremely trivial. I mean, what are you comparing it to? It's a war on women that you might have to buy birth control like men have to buy condoms. I mean, I don't actually agree with Hobby Lobby. I think if you paid insurance, you should get it. But the fact that you might have to buy it, maybe, is not a war. Are you crazy?
I mean, I personally wouldn't call it a war, but I think that it's a piece. It's not a piece of legislation, but it's a decision that was handed down by the courts that can really dramatically affect women in this country. And I think the reason why Western feminists or American feminists specifically would be angry about that is because it affects them. And I'm not saying that that if policies or cultural norms in foreign countries affect women there, that we shouldn't care. But I think it's important to care about, feminism issues in the United States because they do directly affect us.
You know,
Right,
and the
but
thing about the war thing is like, in America, people declare war against everything. Like everything's a war here. It's like the war on
The
Christmas,
war on gluten.
right? I mean, so the war rhetoric. I mean, that's just part of the common American vernacular, in my opinion. But I'll let you two continue with what you were doing. I just wanted to interject that.
right, sure, but as soon as you attach it to a movement that behaves hysterically and that just acts like a bunch of nitwits, and then they get out.
Why don't you delve into that? Delve into some of the ways that you think feminism, the feminists act like nitwits.
Okay, like literally opposing equality. They're all like, rah, 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 we're all about equality. Shared parenting, fuck that. There's no equality there. We want child support. National Organization of Women actively, literally opposes equality. Sorry, you can't say I'm for equality, then literally oppose it and not have people call you an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I personally, just if you are wondering, I do believe in equality of the genders and all genders, men, women, and non-binary identifying people. Um, uh, oh, do you not like people who don't identify according to the binary gender roles in society?
I think that they are medically ill people that don't redefine gender. They need some medical help. Their hormones are fucked up. They're medically ill. They're not a different gender. It's like saying someone with cancer has a different gender. They're sick. They need help.
Are you gonna include trans folk in that? Not just non-binary identifying people, but also trans people?
Absolutely. The reason they need surgery is that they usually have embedded ovaries or embedded testicles. Their hormone profiles are just a fucking mess. If your hormone profiles are normal, you don't identify as trans. It's a sickness. It's a medical illness that should be treated and in the way that the person wants it treated. It's their choice. But to say that someone who has screwed up hormones constitutes a new gender, I just think that's cruel. It's cruel.
Okay, so that term cruel, I mean, could you just go into the implications of that? I'm actually interested, like in like the moral implications of you thinking
Right.
that people who sorry, continue.
Yeah, there's actually members of my family on my husband's side. The girl was born with Turner syndrome, no ovaries, right? It's
Mm.
absolutely terrible. It's a serious illness. It's a birth defect. Her chromosomes didn't line up the way they were supposed to. And her brother also, even though he is externally male, he believes that he is a woman and wants to undergo sex change surgery, which I agree with 100%. I think that he is also ill. His chromosomes didn't work. Something in his DNA got fucked up during development. He deserves to have that fixed. He deserves every bit of compassion. But to say he constitutes a new gender is just bullshit. He's sick. He needs treatment, and he should get the treatment that he wants, that she wants. Because really, Alex thinks that even though he's physically male, inside he is a woman, and she deserves to live her life the gender that her hormones are telling her
Well, I'm
that
kind of
she
confused here because at first it kind of sounded like you're against the trans distinction, but now it's kind of sounding like you're not really against the trans distinction. So I'm
I'm
I'm I'm
against the trans distinction being considered a gender. It's not a gender. It's an
well
ill person.
well what
There are
if you,
two
I mean
genders,
you're
male,
referring
female.
right, exactly, fine, but when you're referring to, your I forget what relative you said it was, but you say that he's biologically male but internally female, and you were using the she identification. So I'm assuming that you believe he should be considered female,
Yeah.
right?
He probably has ovaries, the ovaries his sister didn't get, which is just a cruel irony of fate. But this idea that there's a whole bunch of genders, no, there's not. Sorry, there's some ill people, and then there are two genders.
No, I think just to sort of clarify, I don't think that trans women and trans men constitute new genders, because a trans woman is a woman and a trans man is a man. But I don't know, like I recently, I think within the last year, came across people who identified as gender fluid, or just didn't want to be referred to it as male or female, and preferred they pronouns. And when they were dated, instead of being a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they were called a date friend. So do you think that those people, I mean, is your opinion on those people that they're sick, or?
They're probably more likely assholes infected with some fucked up ideology about gender.
eh,
And
um,
guess where that comes from?